Two of Informed Decisions. I'm Garrison. I am from Louisiana, and I live in a pretty conservative thinking area. And here's my co-host.
Hi, I'm Sam, and I was born and raised in New York City and still live there. And at the most famous city in the world, or whatever, the Big Apple, the bastion of liberal progressivism. So they want you to think, but yeah. And so I think so one of the reasons we decided to come together to do this show was to discuss a lot of topics that are really, really important, coming from two very different backgrounds. And I really appreciate that you approached me about this. First of all, let's talk about how we met really quickly. We met because we both follow two different horror movie / really scream focused, podcasters, Zach Cherry and Ryan C. Showers. And we met really because we saw each other on the chat group in Ryan's monthly chats. But we decided to do this, and there will be entertainment, but there's also going to be a lot of very, very serious political topics that really need to be addressing right now. And we both wanted to make an informed decision about them, for lack of a better phrase.
I agree. Like this is why we wanted to start the show. Like I was originally a journalism major in college before I went into nursing, and I really enjoy being a part of those two communities, Zach and Ryan's communities, and we get to actually record some podcasts with Ryan, and it kind of gave me the bug that I want to do my own show, not because I like the idea of creating, and I like the idea of, I love to talk. I love to have conversations about what's going on in the world, and I find that a lot of people like to argue rather than talk, or they talk, or they listen to respond rather than to listen. And it's hard to find people that you can connect with, and like Sam, and have this conversation. And I want this to find people that think like that want to, and maybe some people who don't think like me will learn something about me, and I can learn. So I always want to learn from people. So this is what this project is for. Hopefully no one ever gets offended or anything, and I feel free to, for the criticism. So our topic today is going to be 2025 Super Bowl halftime performance with Kendrick Lamar. So you watched it very recently, twice. So you want to tell me what you thought of it at first?
I thought it was great. It wasn't until recently that I realized it was the most watched Super Bowl performance of all time. I don't know if I would necessarily say it was the best Super Bowl performance ever. That's one of those things where it's like really, really subjective, and it's gonna. And if we're talking about like personal favorites, everything is different. I love Kendrick. It's hard to top Prince, though. It really is. But that being said, that was many years ago. This was today, and it was really wild. It was wild. It was powerful. I think that Kendrick Lamar is the most he's just one of the. He's one of the best rappers ever. But I don't want to start like a party game and start like comparing him to anyone else, but he's really just like unbelievable. He's just he like throws around a lot of wisdom in a way that is so heady and accessible at the same time. And he's like his songs, like he was so energetic, he was so activated. The visuals were amazing, and I thought it was so funny that they told him not to play "Not Like Us," and he did anyway. And the fact and some of the bewildering responses to it that they think it's just a diss track against Drake, which it is, but it's more than that. And
yeah,
I thought it was fantastic. So what did you think?
I enjoyed myself. I generally do enjoy the Super Bowl performances in general. I really enjoyed this one because I do enjoy the ones that there's nothing simple about this performance, but it used a lot of dancers. It used a lot of props that are there, like the scene that I thought it was. I enjoy those. Like I really enjoyed Rihanna's with the floating stages, but everything was very physical, like it was there. It wasn't just a screen, which there's nothing wrong with that either. But I enjoy the performances that move, that have dancers, that have color. I do agree with you that the Not Like Us is a diss track, but it's also sometimes it's hard for people to see people who are not like them. And I think it's one of the subject matters that are dealt with in that song. I also really enjoyed I enjoy a performance with a message. I kind of miss those throughout history. I remember there's a lot in the 90s. There's a lot of VMA performances that have messages. And I think that this performance had a message about a divided America, about, certain people being visualized. Serena Williams doing the Crip dance that she was criticized for earlier in her career is doing it on the biggest stage possible and being celebrated for it now. I'm so happy that she got that chance to do that. I think it's a great. He opened it up with the revolution will be televised, but you picked the wrong person. I think all of that with the president being there is very strategic, and it was very well done. I will say that I do think some of the praise that he's getting is because he is a man, because what happened with Janet Jackson. Not that her performance was a protest, but somebody ripped off and she was exposed, and Justin Timberlake, who did that, didn't really receive much backlash, and actually it enhanced his career, but kind of stalled hers for a very long time.
Yeah. I know I would agree with that. For some reason, there generally seems to be a streak of sexism that rears its ugly head whenever a woman makes a powerful, really provocative political statement, and a man will do like literally the same thing, and it'll either get forgotten or it'll do a complete. Actually, let me just give you the example. So I'm thinking of the time that Kathy held up the paper mache thing. Kathy Griffin held up the paper mache thing of Donald Trump's decapitated head, which I thought was in really poor taste, even though I know that what she was trying to say, she wasn't actually trying to call for his literal assassination. She was trying to call for the end to his administration. I understand that. I also understand that it's a very, very intentionally provocative image, and I know that Donald Trump's children saw that, and that it must have been very upsetting to them. So I understand that it was in really, really poor taste. And the backlash that she received for that was severe, and it took her career several years to recover. Meanwhile, several years prior to Kathy Griffin doing that, or I don't even remember, maybe I don't even remember, it was a few years prior, but I do remember that at some point, Snoop Dogg did a music video for one of his songs, and in it, he depicts a fictional drive-by shooting of Donald Trump, and which ends in his murder. That being said, I don't remember anyone ever talking about that or canceling him. And lo and behold, he ended up performing at Trump's inauguration last month.
Yeah, at the pre-show. Yeah.
So it really does seem to. There is a lot of misogyny in here that's unpacked in here, unfortunately. So that being said, there are also people who are criticizing Kendrick Lamar for what he did, claiming that it was un-American, or what have you. And It's not, because for all this country's flaws, freedom of expression is like baked into it. So if you First Amendment protects speech that you don't like. So yeah, there's really nothing people want to say that people want to criticize him too. No, they knew it. You know what? Even though they tried to like rein him in, it's Kendrick Lamar. They knew what they were getting when they hired him. Like he's not going to play by the rules. He's one of the most. You know what? Screw it. I personally feel like he's the best West Coast rapper ever. Sorry, I don't care. I'm just gonna throw that. I'm gonna throwing that in the gauntlet. I know a lot of people, especially my age, are gonna agree with that. Not agree with that. That like I'm gonna get a lot of pushback for that. I've said this before though. It's fine. I really do think I don't think there's ever been anybody better from there. So, and I think a lot of the reason is because just how incredibly rich and complex his lyrics are, and the fact that he bucked the decades-long tradition of glamorizing thug life, which a lot of West Coast rap built its bricks on. So, he's a rock star. I love the guy. And I love what he did. And I'm grateful that he did it, because he used, as the best artists do, his platform to show us ourselves. And, and again, like the title, Not Like Us. It's not just about Drake. It's about how we often don't relate to people who we perceive as not being like us. And yet he's showing it back, and he's showing that back to the audience of probably the most unified watched program on television every single year. And it was angry, but it was also, I think, very hopeful. And I think that that's, generally speaking, what Lamar's point of view is someone who's angry, but who is also optimistic. And I think that also, I also think that anger frequently comes from optimism that's been thwarted, from believing that you can do better, and yet seeing time and time again that it's not you're not getting the results that you want, or the results that you feel are just and right, or that are. So, yeah.
Well, I agree with you. I also think that good art is political. I know there's a lot of people that say they don't want their art being political, but I think good art always has a statement. I mean, I guess it doesn't always have, but everything is
no.
If you can make
I don't think it has to be. I don't think good art has to be political. I don't think it has to be political in order to be good. But I do agree that it can be. That it frequently can be.
I like music and movies that make me feel something. There is always escapism, but even like comedy has like a message, and I think that a lot of times, in my opinion, that a deeper project or something always comes from like, not always pain, but like either joy, or either like, pain. And those messages, we can, relate to them. And I also love that he included SZA, who actually, she uses a lot of emotion in her music. She is really creative. She is really a really intelligent artist. And I also was going to say that Kendrick Lamar has won a Pulitzer Prize for his art. So I think everything that he does has an intention. The stage at the beginning had the game controller outline of that we're playing the American game. There was also Samuel L. Jackson that was Uncle Sam, and telling him how to perform. Like, no, it's too rowdy. No, it's this music is too ghetto. This is this. And then when they played the pop song that he did with SZA, that was a hit everywhere. He said that's more like it. Yeah, I do love that song. But it is a more traditional radio song. I say that, and Not Like Us is a huge hit. But not like sorry. All the Stars is more popish than his other stuff, besides the Taylor Swift song.
What Taylor Swift song?
He's on the remix of Bad Blood.
Oh, okay.
But it's from a movie, you know, Black Panther, All the Stars, and I listened to it a bunch of times, and when you rehear it at the performance, I listen to it a bunch of times.
I love that song.
Yeah, it's a great. I have always known about Kendrick Lamar. We can go into what we like about his music. I enjoyed Humble. Humble is one of the songs I love by him. All the Stars. Don't Kill My Vibe. I really like the song Turn Off the TV now. I hadn't really heard it before his performance. And I also really like Scrabble Up and Hey Now.
Mm-hmm.
Which Turn Off the TV has a really good message too. But I guess back to the performance before I go to that too. I just really enjoyed how he had all the different contrast messages, like with Uncle Sam telling him how to perform, he not listening and doing what he needed to do. The game controller talking about playing, and then at the end of the performance, it was game over in the audience. I thought all that, I just enjoy that kind of pushback to, you know, the general public of what is we consider okay and what is other cultures consider as entertainment and what's important to them.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Like I said, I don't think that great art has to be political. In fact, I kind of get annoyed when a film or a song, like well, maybe not with songs, but like movies particularly, when their purposes are more about having a political point than telling a story, because I feel like I'm being lectured to, and I would rather watch something that invests me in the characters, and then if there's a message that comes out of it and it's because of something that it becomes from an organic place of like how these characters interact, then I feel like that's far more resonant, generally speaking, unless it's like based on a true story. That's different. But in fiction, if it's a fictional story that's like meant more like a lecture, I do find it a little irritating. That being said, so I'll talk about some of my favorite Kendrick Lamar songs too. I love Swimming Pools. I love All Right. I love, and then, you know, like a few other ones you mentioned, All the Stars, Not Like Us. So I've been, Humble, of course. So there's been, I think I've covered all the albums. Yeah. Maybe not, I'm not sure. But yeah, so I love that Good Kid, Mad City was like a very, very personal album, and it was just really kind of like introducing us to him and his world and like where he came from, and his struggles. And then he wasted no time like just exploding after that with everything he wanted to say about America and race and art and life, and but he's done it in such a like dizzyingly literate way, and it's just been such a joy to watch him. Admittedly, it took me a little bit to catch on the wavelength because I was not familiar with some of his like samples and references, and he raps so fast that it was hard, that for somebody with someone with as message driven as he is, it took me a while to catch on. And I had to listen to it, and then I had to read the lyrics, and I'm just like so in awe of him. So and I really think he's like one of the great artists of our time, and I so appreciate that he's here, and I appreciate that he did what he did at the Super Bowl. And then segging into that, I think we wanted to talk about this, that one of the haters or naysayers called it the DEI Super Bowl performance. Mm-hmm. And I know you had some things you wanted to say about that.
Yeah. I saw
why.
a lot people saying it's the DEI, and I know that's a hot topic right now, that people are kind of using DEI in place of a slur. I just wanted to I think if people are running with it, like DEI is something bad. But DEI makes it makes for a better world, because this is the point I wanted to make, and I know I keep making the runaround, that if we are only surrounded by people who are like us, then we don't we will limit ourselves. We call it in the hospital, you silo yourself to that area, you only know that area. So if we don't expose ourselves to different people, and if we're not exposed to different cultures, and if we are always like, I don't want to be around people who are not like me, then you become a very limited person, and you're always scared of the other, which the other is not always scary. Different people can teach us different things, and we can learn different things. And this halftime show maybe wasn't for the general public, but for certain kind of people. And that's okay. We should be exposed to different art from different people, because you never know, that may be something that you love. It may be something that will change your viewpoint, or it might not, but that doesn't matter. We should always be open, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody, to different things, to different people, and learning from different people. And you never know, like, just because someone's not like you, just because someone loves different, looks different, or has physical limitations, doesn't mean they can't make the job a better place, and they can't make the job, the role excel to something else. I think that that's a very limited way of thinking if you think that hiring different people from different backgrounds, or from lower income areas, or with different skin tone, or different loving people of the same sex, I think that that's very limiting. And
it is, but as we've touched on before, there are already laws in place to prevent people from discriminating against hiring or firing people because of those reasons. Really, what DEI is meant to do is to honestly help people understand each other, help people understand cultural differences in the workplace, so that they don't disrespect each other, insult each other, and make each other feel undervalued, and intentionally or not. And not to be disrespectful towards each other. So, and to make it a more equitable place, to make everyone feel included and valued, which people oftentimes can, and that's really a lot of what DEI is about. It's like, that's like the next step after the anti-discrimination laws. So that's really great. As far as your assessment that the Super Bowl performance may not have been for everyone, I'm not sure I agree with that, because I will say I think that there is definitely a sense that I believe that Kendrick Lamar doesn't really care if there are certain segments of the audience who don't like what he has to say. So he's not trying to like pander to everybody. He's not trying to like make music that everybody will relate to necessarily. But in a way, I think he is. And what I mean by that is I think that the music he makes is a message for everyone, in the sense that the problems that he talks about are frequently described as problems that affect a certain community, but these problems actually affect everyone, because this country is everyone who lives in it. So it's not these issues. If these issues affect people with a certain skin color, they affect everybody, because we all live here. And so then, first of all, number one, the skin color you're born with is completely out of your control. So whatever skin color you get is luck of the draw. So, and if you don't recognize that, then there's a lack of empathy there that needs to be addressed, because you could be anybody. I could be anybody. This just happens to be like the face we're wearing. Just what happens. We're all like, speaking to an audience, I don't know if anybody is religious or not, but like, if whether you believe in God or not, if you do, there's only one God, which means we all come from him. So how we treat each other is going to be a big part of that if you believe in an afterlife. So that's number one. And number two, again, Lamar has, I'm not going to speak for him, but I think it's clear that that there may be certain sectors of the audience that he is not interested in playing to, because he's speaking more directly to certain people. But that being said, I think that what he's saying is something that is actually it's meant for everyone to hear. It's just that not everybody's going to like it.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. So you're saying like his message really is for everybody, but not everybody wants to listen to that.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a good summary of
great art will do that.
That's a great summary of good art. I know that sometimes people, because I will say, obviously it was for a lot of people because 133 million people watched the Super Bowl performance, not necessarily the whole Super Bowl. So people were interested in Kendrick Lamar. So obviously he does appeal to a lot of people.
I enjoyed this.
I agree. Like, I think I really enjoy talking about current subject matters in like a civil way when no one gets mad and that we can disagree about some things and agree. I think one thing that we are informed about that DEI is not always bad. It's not bad. Like, we should be exposed to different people. We should all want to work at a non-toxic environment with a variety of people and feel safe to do that. Because when these policies go away, you can create a toxic environment for people that you think are the other, and they'll quit because no one wants to work in that environment. And I guess that was my point that I lost earlier. But
that's okay. You got it back.
Right.
That's true.
But this is what this is for, to work through those mind things. I enjoy it so much. But yeah, like, I learn from each other instead of, wanting to be mad about some conspiracy all the time.
Yeah, conspiracy theories are really, they're dangerous and bad because all they do is really just allow you to blame someone else for why you think you're not getting ahead in life. So it just puts the scapegoat on like these people.
Right. Right.
So yeah, I'm not a fan of conspiracy theories at all.
And to end our conversation, is there anything else you want to add?
Except for JFK, because obviously.
Is there anything you want to add to the episode before we close?
Yeah, I'm currently working on my list of I think the best pop songs of this decade. So I thought it was just so funny.
That could be an episode, and we could decide if they have a message or not. Like, I feel that would be.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of. Well, I was probably just gonna post it on Instagram and Facebook, but yeah, we could do that. We could do this too.
I love pop music. I have tons of
And when I say pop music, I'm including hip hop and rock and country.
Yeah, just like popular music.
When I say obviously, I mean, I'm gonna opera won't be in there. So if you're looking for opera, sorry, but yeah. So I think it's just so funny that this is what we talked about this week, because that's just because shameless self-promotion. Yes, I am really passionate about that, and I'm going to be doing that one too. So
we should do our favorite pop songs and most controversial pop songs. Okay. Because that sounds so much fun.
I think it will be fun.
All right.
Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you. And I want to end on a quote that my mom always told me, is that no one can take your education away from you. Now, I want to add to that. No one can take good education away from you, because sometimes we can be educated with the wrong information. So make sure that you're making informed decisions and that you are always willing to take in all kind of information and get the right information. All right. Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Good night.